this new video on HackDoor cybersecurity channel. In this video, we're going to talk about MobSF, which is an automated security framework. So MobSF has been here for a while and I have frequently used it in my pen testing. It helps me to pen test both Android and iOS apps. It does a very good preliminary analysis and saves a lot of manual effort, repeated manual effort, if I may say, while testing mobile apps. So this is open source and available on GitHub for anyone to download. So let's quickly go to the GitHub URL. So this is the GitHub URL, which is MobSF, and then the URL can be seen easily in the screen. And MobSF has been there for a long time and been used by pen testers across. MobSF not only provides you a static analyzer but also a dynamic analyzer. But in this video, we are only going to cover how to set up MobSF in your local system using Docker and how to use the static analyzer to do a preliminary analysis. So most of you, as soon as you get an APK file, you run your dex2 jar, your Android testing tools on this particular APK. But this process can be easily automated, looking at the manifest.xml and whatnot, looking at the permissions and giving you a kind of a static analysis report very quickly using MobSF. So this is highly recommended if you are even working as a bug bounty hunter or working in any organization to really lower down your manual efforts and avoid using the repetitive task manually and rather use MobSF as the tool to use. Now MobSF is also available on the internet on this particular URL, which is mobsf.live. Okay, and here you can just click on upload and you can start uploading an APK to be analyzed. But let me tell you, the downside of it is if you go to this particular link, which is recents, you can see a lot of people have scanned it and you can quickly go and look at the static report for any APK, right? Now this can pose as a risk if you are using an internal APK, a APK that is not public yet for your organization. So I would highly discourage if you are working for an organization to use the mobsf.live URL, since it will expose your APK and its vulnerabilities to the internet, and that is something which your organization would not want. So now let's quickly deep dive into how to set up MobSF in your local system. Now to do that, you can easily see that you really need to have Docker installed on your local system. So let me quickly go and check if my Docker is working properly or not. So as you can see, the Docker version tells me that it's there and it's working pretty good and is up to the latest version. Now as a second command I will give is to pull the Docker image for the MobSF from the Docker repo. So I'll quickly copy this command. Now these commands can also be found on the GitHub page, but I think for the sense of video, this will be more clear. So when you quickly run this command, it will try to pull the latest version of the MobSF image here. Now as you can see, it has pulled it. Actually this image is already there, but since in your system, if this image is not there, it will actually end up pulling it. Okay, so since I already have the image, I get this command. Now let me give the next command, which is to run the MobSF framework. So this is what your screen will look like when the image is being pulled. Now to run MobSF for the static analysis, let's give this command. The same command can also be found on the GitHub page, guys, so you can easily refer to these commands on the GitHub page, but I'm going to use my presentation right now. So it says invalid reference format, maybe because there was a new line. I think it should work fine now. Perfect. So as you can see, the MobSF has been initiated. And very soon it will say that it's available on port 8080. So as you can see here, the MobSF has been made available on this particular localhost URL. Now to go back to our browser and let's open this URL. Now as soon as you open, you can see 0.0.0 is the localhost address. You can also use 127.0.0.1 or simply localhost :8000 and you should be able to see it. Now if I go to recents, you can see there are no recent scans since this is running on my local host. Now let's quickly go to the static analyzer and try uploading a APK. So let me try uploading this Diva application APK, and as soon as I upload it, you can see the analysis has all started. So the time it's analyzing, let me tell you what's happening on the backend. It's running ADB tool, it's running JADX, it's running Dex2Jar and whatnot. All the tools that we use to do a static analysis. And here you can see all the information has been presented. So guys, whenever you have a tool, try to understand how it is working in the backend and what is the backend logic of that particular tool. So here in MobSF, you can see it has identified 17 activities, out of which 2 activities are exported. Now you all know if there is an activity that is exported, it can be accessed, it can be used to bypass the authorization and authentication for that particular application. You can also see there is one exported content provider. Okay, so that is another interesting thing. Now coming to the more interesting part, I can also look at the information from the Android manifest file. Here you can see the package name, the main activity, the target SDK, Android version, and the application name, right? The package name is really important if you are using a particular Android pen testing and you're using the Android manifest to get that information. So next comes the permissions. Here you can see all the permissions are available, but interestingly, this all information can be used from the the Android manifest file that you have captured. Okay, but this tool, what it will do is it will do that analysis for you with a click of a button. So once you have set it up, it will simply do that for you. Now you can see that it also has an option of decompiled code, right? You can also download Java code, Smalley code. You can even download the APK again if you want for further analysis. You can view at the source, the Smalley, and you can also look at the Android manifest.xml. Let me show you how it looks like. So as you can see here, so you have the Android manifest clearly available here, right? So right here, you can see the package name, right? So from this is where the MobSF is actually showing you the actual package name. And you can see all the activities right here in the Android manifest. So guys, whenever you're doing an Android pen test, looking at the Android manifest is something which is of critical importance, because it will tell you what activities are there, and not only that, you can see right here what activities are exported. Okay, so right on the screen you can see there are multiple intent filters used, right? And when an intent filter is used, it is actually available to you that this particular activity might be exported because it's using an intent filter, which is not properly implemented. And here you can see a content provider is also there, where you can see the Android exported option is also set to true, guys. Okay, so whatever information MobSF is showing us is actually really from the Android manifest, and it's just using this particular file to tell you what permissions are there. Like for example, the dangerous permission we just saw, the write external storage, is actually there in the Android manifest. So I'm not saying that you should use MobSF to get more accurate results, but the whole idea here is to understand how MobSF is doing in the backend. Because we, while using this, while our pen testing of APKs, we always use these tools, right? And it becomes a very repetitive effort. To reduce that, MobSF can really be a lifesaver for you. So let me go back to the static analysis, and let me also look at the view source. Now this view source is very similar to what you would see using JADX, or maybe using Dex2Jar and then using JDGUI. So here let's go to the main activity. Okay, and here you can see that different activities are there. So here is a hard-coded activity, okay, where you can see a secret key also embedded, correct? So all the activities can be seen here in the MobSF itself. So this actually helps you to have a single point where you can look at all the available information related to that particular APK or IPA. Now let me go back in the interest of the time for this video. Okay, and let me also show you the Smalley code can also be seen. Now all of you might use the ADB tool to get the smally code for a particular file, and it's basically the assembly language for Android, and this is what it really looks like. Okay, so the smally code can also be seen here. You can also find a particular file name. You can also search for a particular text, like let me search for a, let's say, a secret key. So you can see that a particular activity has been highlighted, and here there would be somewhere a secret key embedded. So this is a quick tutorial and a quick overview of the capabilities of MobSF. It can also help you with a malware analysis, a security analysis, where it can show you the network security state of a particular app. It can also help you with a certificate analysis, like what kind level of certificate it is being used. It also gives you severity along with it. Then comes your manifest files, right? The files which basically tells you, what version of Android is being used. The debug is enabled, right? So if you remember in the Android manifest file, let me quickly go there again. You can see the debug option would be enabled. Allow debug here. So Android debuggable is set to true, right? Even allow backup is set to true. Now all these things are pretty eyebrow raisers when you do an Android pen test, right? So here, if you go to the basically the manifest analysis, it's basically telling you that this particular option for debugging has been enabled. Now you can also look at the options that are available. Okay, suppression is also available as an option, and then you have activities that are exported, the content provider that is exported, whatever we did a manifest analysis I just showed you. And then there is a code analysis where you can see the debug configuration is enabled. It should not be. That's a warning. Let's skip that. Then you have the binary analysis, which is basically the smally analysis of this particular file, where you have a couple of issues reported. Just in the interest of videos, I'm not going to cover all of them, but definitely I'll try to cover them in the later parts of this Android series. And then you have the files. Now, interestingly, if you want a report, you can also get a report for this tool. So here, if you see, I've clicked on report, and you get a beautiful report out of this tool as well. Okay, so in case you have to share this report with the senior management or the development team with all the details, you can actually go ahead and email down this report or upload it to a shared drive for your development team to see and understand it, and they can come back to you for questions. Alternatively, what you can also do is you can actually give them access to this MobSF tool itself. It does not require any login, you just have to share the URL, and as soon as they'll go to the recent scans, they will see which particular application they need to look at. So this is a quick tutorial on MobSF. I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, and if you did enjoy this video, do subscribe to the channel, because I like putting the content related to cybersecurity and pen testing on this channel, and hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.